Whether you're training learners in person or virtually, what you say and how you say it matters.
It's not just what you teach, but how you teach it. I think you all would agree is really the secret sauce, right? It doesn't matter how great your courses are if they're boring or if they take too much time. And, time is the new currency. So we really had to adapt how we teach to be experiential, to be how-to, and frankly, to be accelerated, because no one has the patience anymore for long courses. They just don't. And that's been a real journey for us, but it's been exciting.
That's Lisa Bodell, CEO of FutureThink, renowned speaker and author. Lisa will share her ingredients for engaging audiences and creating learning experiences that are memorable and actionable. Next on Powered by Learning.
Powered by Learning is brought to you by DaVinci Interactive. DaVinci's approach to learning is grounded in 30 years of innovation and expertise. We use proven strategies and leading technology to develop solutions that empower learners to improve quality and boost performance. Learn more at davinci.com.
Joining me today is DaVinci CEO Luke Kempski and our guest, award-winning author and CEO of FutureThink, Lisa Bodell. Lisa is a futurist and expert on the topic of innovation and simplicity, who has helped thousands of senior leaders ignite innovation at corporations worldwide. She is also ranked among the top 50 keynote speakers worldwide. Today, we're going to learn how she creates engaging learning experiences for her audiences. Welcome, Lisa.
Glad to have you, Lisa.
Oh, it's wonderful to be here. Thanks so much for the kind introduction.
You're welcome. Lisa, to get us started, tell us a little bit about your background as it led you to starting FutureThink and its focus on skill building in organizations.
Well, sure. Well, actually, I like to say that I'm a recovering ad agency person. That's where it all began.
Are
we all, right? To some degree.
Yeah.
But, similarly to you, and I'm sure to many of the listeners, I'm a very creative thinker, but I also like business. So, this is back in the late 80s, and I was starting a company, et cetera. And I was thinking of starting a company, and that wasn't really an opportunity back then. So I went to what the most creative business was that I knew, and that was being in an ad agency. And while I was there, I became very frustrated because the only way to be creative is if you were actually a writer or a designer, and I was neither professionally. So I was told I wasn't creative, and that I should just stay in my lane. And I got very frustrated because the creatives liked me. I could bring up ideas, but my bosses wanted me to stay in my lane. And I thought, how can a company be successful if only certain people are allowed to be creative and have ideas? And that led me to leave and actually go to a .com, which was a big thing starting in the 90s, and really where my entrepreneurial spirit came in, where I learned how to run a business with someone else's money. And I thought, I want to go back to help people be more innovative and be more creative. I think everyone should be able to do it. And they should be able to have the tools to do it too. And that's what really led me on my entrepreneurial journey and where I am today with FutureThink, which I've had now for 20 years.
And how great that you didn't stay in that lane. We're all thankful. We're all thankful for that.
I'm thankful too. I would have gone crazy. So thank you.
That's great, Lisa. Can you give us kind of a big picture view of how you look at FutureThink's curriculum and how it has an impact on your clients and on their organizations?
Yeah, it's a great question. I never had the intention of having a learning and development company or a training company. That was never a thought in my mind. But here we are. So, it started as I wanted to, frankly, as an entrepreneur, make money in my sleep. I wanted to give people tools on how to be creative. And it was really creativity back then. Innovation was in its infancy, right? It was more about coming up with ideas. And, wouldn't you know it, even though I came up with over 100 tools for people aren't as self-starting as you might think. And they need the training. They need someone to show them how before they go off and do it on their own. And that's how my training business was born. And I decided early on, rather than just having a training business or a skill building business that offered lots of things, I wanted to have a business that focused on innovation and creativity and teach it in different ways. So I really was topically led rather than business led. And so that led me to the curriculum, which is what are all the things that have to do with innovation, creativity, agility, change, transformation, resilience. And that worked well for a while. until I realized, a lot of people really liked taking the courses, but they weren't really able to do it once they got done. Mm-hmm. And that's where the simplicity came in. And what I mean by that was everyone wanted to be innovative, but they got back to their desk and they just didn't have the time. It's not that they weren't smart. So that's when I went on this journey of how do I help people get more time and space to be creative? And so a lot of our training now starts with simplicity first, and then it goes to innovation and transformation. So that's the topical approach that we took. And then we also, we can start talking about this too, which is it's not just what you teach, but how you teach it. I think you all would agree is really the secret sauce, right? It doesn't matter how great your courses are if they're boring or if they take too much time. And, time is the new currency. So we really had to adapt how we teach to be experiential, to be how-to, and frankly, to be accelerated, because no one has the patience anymore for long courses. They just don't. And that's been a real journey for us, but it's been exciting.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about that. So how do you match the different learning topics that you're trying to teach with the different modalities that you can deliver them? You don't want everything to be instructor-led or facilitated live, and how do you think about how you integrate and mix the different methods of
Well, I'll say the good news is because of the topics we teach, right? Innovation, it's got to be very experiential and very creative. It comes with like a preconceived expectation. But even better, being experts on simplicity, boy, that really focused your message. You can't teach simplicity and be complicated about it. So that really got us accelerated quickly. The other thing that really drove the way that we teach, which I'll describe to you as very practical, very provocative, very accelerated, was COVID. Because I think we will look back on COVID as one of the most transformative times of our lives, positively, health issues aside, because it really forced us to challenge the work we do, how we work, and it gave us technologies that allowed us to be more flexible in our learning. So, who would have known prior to COVID that we would be doing so much virtual training? Even though I think all of us as practitioners said it was doable, nobody believed it because they weren't used to it. Boy, did they get used to it quickly. So, everything we do now has to be fast, accelerated, practical, gets to the point, and it's got to be flexible because people work from many different places and many different geographies all at once. So some of it needs to be on demand. Some of it needs to be bite-sized and TikTok on the subway. We had to really accommodate lots of different, many more styles than ever before. But simplicity and innovation lead themselves and lend themselves to that with technology. It's great.
Yeah. Do you ever still see that the value in bringing people together in person?
Yes.
And where does that fit?
Yeah. And, that's one thing. It's kind of annoying, actually, when people say, well, why don't you just do everything on demand or everything virtually? And I think we're seeing this come around again, which is authenticity and being human is more important than ever, especially because of AI. And I think that's, AI can do a lot for us, right? It can make us more efficient, but it doesn't replace the human aspect of creativity and context and nuance yet. And so I think getting people together is so important because I like to say we get our best ideas when we're alone, but we build our best ideas when we're together. And all the more reason to get people together physically because they can better collaborate. And frankly, the physicality builds more trust. And that's where things really flourish in terms of learning because you feel safe, you take away fear, and you feel safer to take risks. And learning is all those things, right? So I think in person's critical.
Yes, absolutely. And when you think about the different, since you changed kind of a lot of your delivery based on COVID, how have you seen people respond to different types of learning delivery methods or modalities? And how have you continued to evolve those?
Well, the accelerated definitely was a trend before COVID, but it 10x'd after COVID, right? Because people have, and I say this with affection, as many of my family members have it, everyone's got ADD right now. They don't have time, they can't focus, they're context switching, they're impatient because they have to be. So accelerated is key. That's one thing that really happened. I mean, we used to do full day courses, and I will tell you now, and we used to do 10-minute videos. We are now being asked to do the TikTok version of videos, 60 seconds. So it forces you to get to the point. The other thing I think is there's an expectation of technology and interactivity. And so that has forced us to use a lot of those things to bring in collaboration with virtual teams. So things like I use Mentimeter with a lot of Wordles and polling, et cetera, to get people's input. I use mural boards to create in real time problem solving, and they get an artifact. So there's this expectation of technology that's going to help you, but also it's technology because it helps inclusion. And I don't just mean inclusion in terms of different people from different geographies, but it really has helped the introverts in the room feel more included. And I think that's important for learning.
I wonder how much your experience actually in advertising and the working around in an advertising agency has actually influenced how you think about training delivery and creativity in the types of training that you do.
I wonder too. I hadn't thought about that one. Well, it's interesting because I started I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Michigan and Chicago. And when Leo Burnett was the first agency I went to, which I loved, by the way. They're a great group of people, great agency when I was there. But the creativity aspect, like being collaborative, really, I think you're right, set the stage for how important that was, because I saw how people could riff off each other. And I learned a lot from doing and networking with a lot of people from Second City Improv. And you can just see the magic of what that experience brings to the live performance of how people perform when they're learning. And maybe that was part of my background that transcended.
So let me talk about the improv for a second. Whether you're doing virtual training or in-person training, what lessons have you learned from improv that have made the learning experiences better, that would help all the people listening who are trainers understand what they could do to improve?
Well, the best thing about how I've selected my facilitator bench, which has taken me, again, I've had this company for 20 years. It has been a journey beyond anything I ever expected in terms of finding the right facilitators. And what I mean by that is when you find people with improv, they are really good. This is why it's so key to me when I look for trainers. They're agile. They are resilient. They think on their feet. They can deal with problem children in the room, as we like to say. And they don't take things too seriously, right? There's a self-deprecating humor to it. And I think all those things really lend themselves to a good training experience. Also, it makes it experiential because they know how to interact with people to draw them out versus teach at them. So I would never hire on my bench someone who is purely, I have to say, academic. That would not work with our type of training and our type of content. Ours is more about, I can't tell you as a leader that you're creating problems. I have to show you. And I think there's the human aspect within improv helps make that a safe thing to do and to teach.
So how do you go about taking someone who is good at improv and good in front of people and good at engaging an audience, and then teach them the subject matter so that you can have multiple facilitators deliver the training that you're delivering?
Well, you have to find people that are very well versed in that's why I bring up people from it's Second City, it's Upright Citizens Brigade, it's Groundlings, it's things like that. They come from a creative background, and that's what my content is. So it's really teaching very similar techniques. And so it's very intuitive to them, creative problem solving. That's what improv is, and that's what I teach, right around innovation and simplification. Also, improv and comedy is about reduction. And terrible jokes happen when they're too complex. The best jokes are the simplest ones. And so that's why the folks that I bring on from these backgrounds work so well with my content. They just get it, right? Teaching people the content is easy. Teaching them style and delivery is not.
I would think especially today, as so many audience members or team members might be resistant to in-person events or in-person training because they got used to not doing that.
Yeah.
having a trainer or somebody on your bench to come out and talk to them and being able to relate to them makes the experience that much more memorable and lets them see what's in it for them.
Yes, and I would say that speaking of
Thank
improv,
you.
yes,
Thank you, Kelly Leonard.
Yeah, you're welcome. That Second City is so great. I believe that everyone is creative. Everyone is innovative. They just need to know how. And what I mean by that is getting a safe space to act that way. right? And having some tools that allow them to really know that there's lots of different types of creative problem solving. It's not about being goofy and weird and funny. I mean, it can be, but it's like even yes and. It's building on. It's collaborating with. It's being provocative in a safe way. And that's what, our folks really bring out in people. And I think that it can be done virtually, and it's even better. It's 10x'd when it's in person.
Yeah, no doubt. When you think about who your ideal client is, like where are they on their journey when they connect with FutureThink, and how can you help kind of get them from where they are to where they want to get to?
That's interesting because when I first started out, I thought we would be working with the C-suite, that kind of thing. But really, our people are like your listeners, you guys. We deal with CHROs, heads of L&D, the people that are the skill building experts. They are filling the skill gaps. And we actually strategically decided when we first started to work in regulated industries. And there was a reason for that. Because I thought from a business standpoint, if I could figure out how to do this within regulated industries, like people that are really handcuffed by restrictions, I could do it for anybody. And I believe that's very true. So we strategically went for pharma and biotech, financial services, a lot of manufacturing. We deal a lot in intelligence and government. And the reason I say that is if we can get those people over the creative hump of we can't do that because we're regulated, we certainly can do it with people that are not regulated too. And the good news is a lot of the things that we teach, they're agnostic, right? Whether you're talking to the L&D people, whether you're teaching a cohort or whether you're teaching an intact team. These are skills that they can take within their sphere of control and use with their teams no matter where they move up the ranks within a company. That's the goal, is to help people upskill no matter where they go between and beyond the business units. And to me, that should be the goal.
And what would an organization look like after they've partnered with you? What would you like them to, what would feel different inside
Amazing. They would look amazing. They would, everyone would lose 20 pounds. They'd look fantastic. I'm projecting. No, how would they feel? You know what they would feel? Well, the feeling people get when they work with us is this. They are inspired. Right? There's like a new juice, a new energy, right? They are relieved. They are relieved. And that's a really important thing. They are relieved and hopeful. And those are kind of odd things to say when it comes to learning and development, because usually it's they're activated, they're energized, they're inspired. That's fine. But really for me, I'm going to show them how they can get time back for more meaningful work. That's really what it is. And if they get time back, oh my God, their shoulders go down. They're just they can't believe that it's actually going to happen. It's actually we're showing them the light. And they are hopeful that it actually could work. It's not going to be that they leave the room and all those ideas die on a whiteboard, or that, oh yeah, this sounds great, but my boss is never going to let me do it. We teach stuff in their sphere of control so they really feel like, damn it, I'm going to get time back. I can do this.
Well, how many sessions have we all sat in about being innovative, being creative, and you feel energized at the moment and then it falls apart or falls away. But I like the idea of making it simplified, because what you're doing is giving them a roadmap to move forward. And I think that's a great lesson to learn for anybody who's doing any training, is what's in it for them 100%. And how is it really actionable and achievable?
Well, and that's the other thing I'll say is, you mentioned earlier, what have we seen change about training? We have a couple philosophies I think are different. One is, I believe strongly that culture is the work we do every day. And your culture is your boss and your team. So you can tell me all you want that the CEO sets the culture, and they do. But when I go home at night and someone says, how was your day? I'm probably not talking about the CEO. I mean, if that's your level, right? But most people are going home and talking about their team and the work they do every day. And so we've got to teach them in their sphere of control and give them power in their sphere of control, not their sphere of influence, 5 layers up, to really make an impact and have them really believe change can happen. So when we teach, it's in the sphere of control. We also teach at the team level because that's who they interact with. The reason that's important is because then they can get commitment right in the room for change. And I think that's different than when you teach for cohorts. And when you teach people theory, not practice. Because I can get people to commit right in the room. Like we teach this session called Kill a Stupid Rule that will light your hair on fire. It's so amazing. And we kill rules right in the stupid rules right in the room. And they leave like, oh my God, I can't believe I don't have to do that report anymore. Oh my God, I can't believe that zombie meeting is going. Like they can't believe it. But we've always done it that way. Well, no one ever asked them. And we get the boss in the room, and then it's, the idea is to, no one argues when you go in and you say, hey, who would like to stop doing stupid stuff? No one says, no, let's keep all the stupid stuff. Everyone wants to get rid of stuff. So I guess it's how do you empower people and give them, it really is giving them relief and hope. That's a big, big part of training. Relief and hope that it will actually work, whatever you're teaching them.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Lisa, you seem like the kind of CEO who always has something new brewing. So what can you tell us about what you're working on now at FutureThink and the value you hope to bring to organizations?
Well, okay, so I'll answer that question two ways. We are always being on the lookout for what are the topics that are important, right? So, of course, AI. My opinion on AI is it's never been more important to be human and teach people, for example, curiosity, because it doesn't matter how good your AI is unless you know the questions you're supposed to ask. So there's, so my relation to that would be, I'm still keeping in my wheelhouse. I'm not going to become an AI training company. I think that's where a lot of training companies fall down. They just want to be everything. But I'm going to tell you my angle on it. Right, which is being more human. So that's what we do, is we look at topics that way. I'm doing a lot of on-demand, a ton. We do a lot of LinkedIn nano learning, right? ADD, got to make it fast. And we also have our own courses and toolkits, so people can how to right away, 60 seconds or less. The other thing I will tell you is what we're not doing. And I think that's important for training companies too. We eat our own dog food. And every quarter when I get my team together, we kill stupid rules. And we kill a lot of them. And they're usually my stupid rules, by the way, which is always always enlightening for me. But true, right? There's always these dumb things that boss, AKA me, puts in place. But, I measure my success by not just what people are committing to doing, but what they're committing to stop doing. And we actually kill rules every quarter. And I know it's successful when every quarter it gets harder and harder for them to come up with things. And that, to me, is a sign of success. It's not more, it's just valuable. That's what's important, not more, valuable. So I never want to have a curriculum with 100 courses. To me, that would be a failure. I want to have a core, best courses for the topics of the moment. That's it.
Yeah, so that means that some get killed along the way and new ones are born based on changes in technology and society.
And that's where I was going.
Workplace generations.
Yep, that's where I was going. So it's
keep
it simple. But I would argue that there's a lot of companies, there's a lot of training companies that will keep, it's about more, and there's sense to that, right? You can make money on scale, but I think that muddies your expertise. I think that you can't be the expert in everything. You just can't be. So our focus is a little different.
Yeah, it also has the potential to waste people's time taking courses that are no
remember,
longer
if my
relevant.
Expertise is going to be in simplicity and I have a catalog of 700 courses, people are going to call me out. So I've got an issue there.
That's great, Lisa. Anything else that you wanted to share that you're working on or thinking about and excited about going into the future?
A big thing I'm working on right now, and I've actually recast my keynote on this because I spend all my time on the speaking circuit, right? That's what I do. And then I have a team that actually ignites those skills. So it's a nice synergy. And what I've learned over the years when it comes to simplicity is that, this is my provocative angle, this is not about productivity and efficiency. This is about subtraction and doing more work that matters. So my goal actually is I really want people to start thinking about simplicity as a strategic positioning. It is a culture. A culture of simplicity is really important because it gets people focused and energized. And frankly, simplicity is a big driver of well-being. And the big thing we're seeing right now is, given the level of stress and burnout, there was just an article in CHRO that they had quoted from a Fortune and Upwork survey that 71% of people reported higher levels of burnout, and 61% said they have more demands on them than ever before. So it is directly impacting their well-being. And so we have to really start to think about, as bosses, is how much is enough? And what is the impact of over productivity expectations having on people's well-being? We have to stop being performative about it, and we have to start really thinking about the impact of how we work.
Lisa, what advice would you give to our listeners who are creating custom content? They're helping to train and educate their audiences. Thinking about all that you do, what advice would you impart as they think about how they move forward in creating training?
First of all, the more specific you can have or unique of an angle you can have on a topic, the better. Otherwise, everyone always there's 70 courses on leadership. What's different about you? The other thing I have a strong position on this is being very practical. So I think there's a lot of people that focus too much on design. They focus on the sizzle and not the steak. And I think it's important to have both. So, but when I say sizzle, that's high production values that really allow people to get engaged. But the steak part, I would say, is get to the point. Make it how-to, make it practical, because then people will want to come back to you. That would be my big advice.
That's fantastic. Well,
I think I hear the advertising background coming through there too.
Yeah. Well, I want to get back to listening to some of your TED Talks I was enjoying this afternoon.
Well, that's time you'll never get back.
No. In fact, usually I multitask, and I actually stopped the other thing that I was doing to listen because you had some great points. And we really thank you for sharing your journey and sharing these words of inspiration.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, yeah, that was great. Thanks, Lisa.
Luke, I just feel really energized listening to Lisa. She's really got a way of making the learning manageable and achievable.
Yes, energizing for me as well. I mean, what impresses me is like how Lisa and FutureThink, they're really intentional about using different learning modalities to foster learning and behavioral change by blending Lisa's motivational keynote sessions with instructor-facilitated workshops, self-paced microlearning, toolkits, and even coaching. They can really unlock their clients' potential. They help their clients kind of simplify and focus their productivity, which then frees up time and energy for innovation. You know what else I like? I like how they are attentive to, like, with their facilitators, kind of the energy they bring to the sessions, and they look to integrate improv principles into their programs. It no doubt makes for an even better learning experience for everyone who participates.
Agreed, Luke. She's got some really great ideas, and I invite our listeners to learn more about Lisa Bodell of FutureThink, and there'll be a link in the show notes. Special thanks to our guest, Lisa Bodell. If you have an idea for a topic or a guest, please reach out to us at poweredbylearning@davinci.com. And don't forget that you can subscribe to Powered by Learning wherever you listen to your podcasts.